All right, everybody. Sorry it's taken us so long. We've had some interesting events going on at trying to go live tonight that I've never had happen. But one of the things that happened is StreamYard said I was not authorized to use the account that I'd set up, and then our guest tonight, Kirk, they was blocking his internet access, saying that he was not authenticated through YouTube to be able to access YouTube to be able to do the live tonight. So somebody out there sounds like they don't want to hear what we got to talk about. But I want to apologize for the time it took to be able to get live tonight, and also I want to thank everybody for the prayers for me and my son. We've been battling a pretty strong bug. He still has a sore throat tonight, so all the extra prayers are sure welcome. The guest that got on tonight is going to be Kirk. A lot of you all the other day heard Kirk bring up a vampire house, and that just blew up everybody. Everybody wanted to hear about it, and I started getting emails and messages and everything. So I worked it up really fast where we could get Kirk on, and so here's Kirk. Everybody, just let me know if you can hear him. This is the only way we're going to be able to do it tonight is to put Kirk on speakerphone on my phone because they are blocking his signal. So, Kirk, I'm going to let you say hi to everybody.
Hey everyone.
And guys, let us know if you can hear Kirk okay, if everything's coming through clear. That way, to make sure everybody can hear. Can everybody hear Kirk?
Everybody able to hear me?
All right, everybody's saying hello, Kirk. So they must be able to hear you.
Excellent, excellent.
So I
Very
guess
controversial topic tonight.
yeah, it seems nobody wants us to talk about it. I was even kicked out of my own YouTube account, and StreamYard said I wasn't authorized.
Yeah, I've never had this kind of problems except when I bring this subject up and my phone starts going haywire for some reason.
That is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It seems somebody, it would have to be very powerful, possibly government, I don't know, but somebody does not want this subject discussed.
Yeah, I've never had this happen to me before on a live ever. This is the first time ever. And it even said that your signal was not authenticated and it was blocking your signal. So they weren't even allowing us to be able to contact each other to connect.
Wow, it blows my mind. And the first thing that comes to my mind when this is happening is evidently we have hit on a very sore nerve of some type.
Right. Well,
Um,
it's a good night to talk about it. I mean, it is a full moon.
yes, it is. Quite frankly, I don't really know that full moons are what has anything to do with the vampires. I have recently actually contacted and spoke with several professional vampire hunters. It's all they do for a living. Um, they appear to be very good at it, and they've done it a fairly long time, over 20 years each. The one actually has been doing it for 40 years now.
And vampires, if I get this correct, they're not going to be what we believe them to be as Hollywood portrays them. Is that right?
Not at
Okay.
all. Quite frankly, you would not know a vampire, your girlfriend, and drain the blood out of you.
Well, I've had a couple of them.
Well, not quite that way though, Mike.
But they like the green blood. They like the money. They
Exactly, exactly. But quite frankly, a true vampire, they can go out in daylight. They prefer not to, but it does not have any ill effect on them.
So
So
if
you could literally be standing in a grocery store line with one right in front of you and you would never know it.
and I told everybody tonight this is a really wide open subject for me too, because everybody knows how hard headed I am at stuff. And what I wanted to ask you is the vampire mentality, is it more of a mental than it is a physical? Do these people like do they act the way they act out of
No,
uh,
these people are honest to God. They need blood to survive. They are a humanoid, and one of the vampire hunters, the older one that I spoke with, says that they have been traced back in Romania for about 60,000 years. That they developed as an offshoot of the human. They are a humanoid, but they are not human.
so
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me because I'll be quite frank with everybody. Until several months ago, I did not believe in them at all. I thought it was Bram Stoker and, Hollywood made up stuff. And quite frankly, I'm not convinced. And both the vampire hunters that I spoke with totally believe that Bram Stoker actually was nothing more than a writer taking dictation from an actual vampire who was very brilliant, who was probably Count Saint Germain, if you're familiar with that. It's a very famous vampire who was and he had a portrait done in 1741. There were pictures taken of an individual that looks identical to him in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1858. And there was photographs of the exact same man in New York City in 1914. But yet the appearance never changed. Now, Count Saint Germain was known in the 1700s. He was a socialite in Europe. He would throw large parties, dinner parties. He would always sit at the table to eat with his guests. But no one ever saw him eat anything. All he would do was drink a red fluid out of a wine glass that everybody assumed was wine. Now, was it wine? Was it blood? I don't know. I wasn't there, and maybe I'm fortunate that I wasn't there. I do know that any place throughout the entire time that this man has been sighted, has been around, there are always people come up missing. There are always strange deaths associated with him.
right.
So,
I have to ask the question: Do they follow the same thing as what we've all been taught? Is it takes a stake to kill them, or is that
no, actually the preferred method of killing a vampire is to cut their head off. Both the vampire hunters that I am in contact with both carry very sharp, large machetes with them. Personally, I carry one also at all times. Now, we had something happen in this area, which is our field investigation area. We've encountered Bigfoot, we've encountered Dogman, We encountered that one little old man that was a shapeshifter. We encountered that young kid that was a shapeshifter. Both times the quote shapeshift, it was abandoned in 1986 when the coal company bought Cryptid. So this house out in the middle of nowhere has been sitting vacant. And at that time, that was the only place we could track that old man back to, or that kid back to. That's where we were at the windows were broke. There were no any animals being in it. There was nothing. The only thing we saw some graffiti on one wall. Didn't think much of it at the time. Thought it was probably just some kid had got in there and marked the wall for some reason or another. Didn't know if it meant anything. But we literally just kind of, this house is very odd out in our minds. Or afterwards, we all talked about how clean it was. One team member actually said it was cleaner than her house, and she keeps a spotless house. The one thing we all were puzzled about, the house was a walk-in basement, then you had the main floor, then you had, call it an attic or call it upstairs. We don't know what it was, but that is the only thing. We never went upstairs in that house, and none of us could explain why we chose not to. Now,
everybody says we're breaking up again, so they're
silencing us.
Something's going on that's I'm sure we have full bars and everything.
They're silencing us, Mike.
It should come out in the end right after this. It should be recorded.
Okay.
I believe so. I'm not sure. I don't know why this is happening. It doesn't make sense. I'm showing full bars, full everything.
I've got full bars on my end, and I've got a 79% charge on the battery.
Are we still breaking up, guys? Has it gotten any better? Really? Here's the weird thing, Kirk. They're saying that they can hear me, but you're breaking up. But you're breaking up. And there's no reason for you to be breaking up because you're actually over my cell phone on a phone call on speakerphone. So that's
weird.
So it's like they're attacking you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll continue, guys. If it continues to break up, let us know. That way we can maybe try to. I don't know what we would try different, but I guess.
What if we just end up recording the show? Will it come out in the end?
I don't know if they would even let us record the show because it would still take our internet to be able to connect to one another.
Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, Decoy. Kirk is on speakerphone. He's on a separate whole platform. He's not even on an internet call. He's on an actual phone call. So I don't know how they're blocking him like that. That is really weird. Uh, so are we?
And once more, I say that tells me there's got to be more to this than what we know.
Yeah, because Shelly said when she's talked to you before, the same things happened.
Wow.
So, can you guys hear us now? Okay? They say they can hear good now. So
Okay.
let's go for it, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Now this graffiti that I referred to that was on that wall, it was a circle, and it had a V or victory drawn in the middle of it, or I should say V for vampire drawn in the middle of it. Didn't have any idea what it was. Happened to be watching a show a couple months ago, and had no idea what it was. Just out on the television. I instantly turned my head to start watching it. It was a show about vampire hunting, and they explained that was actually the symbol for a vampire safe house, where it was safe to take a human and kill. That old house that we at our level, it's save us. If you heard of missing people in that area, there are 12 missing people. There are 3 bodies that were found that they can't do a cause of death. And there was a decapitated skull found that they cannot figure out whose it was. One of my team members actually was on the fire department, the police department, coordinating off. They're kind of blocking the area so nobody can interfere. Their investigation out there to try to find the rest of the body. That skull came lasted 30 days. Ground penetrating radar to find the rest of the body.
Right.
No. They literally used everything at their disposal scientifically. No trace of the body was ever found. No identification to this skull has ever been made. It is still to this day considered an open cold case.
That's really weird.
Yeah, and it was definitely decapitated. It was not just a skull that was connected to a skeleton that somehow got kicked away from the skeleton. This showed a mark of a knife decapitating him, which I would assume would have to have been a large knife, much like a machete.
So somebody had her head removed. You think somebody?
This area has a long history of mysterious people dying, people disappearing, cattle mutilations, deer mutilations, very, very strange things.
So, what do you think about like the? Do you think that a lot of people are saying the chupacabra and the vampire and all that they believe may be related?
Well, I'll tell you, I've given that some thought. The chupacabra, the vampire bat, and the vampire are the only three mammals that have a specialized intestinal tract that would be able to drink blood. So they have to, in some way, be related. Yeah, we do have leeches, they're insects, and we do have lamprey in the ocean. But as far as any warm-blooded mammal, your bat, we're assuming the chupacabra is warm-blooded, and the vampire, we're assuming is warm-blooded. Those are the only three that have the specialized intestinal tract to be able to drink blood.
Right. And people are asking where you're from, Kirk.
I'm up here in Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania, by the West Virginia and Ohio border.
So you kind of have a history with vampires in your state anyway.
Yeah, I know. And believe it or not, that Count Saint Germain that I had brought up earlier, actually was said to, at one point in time, reside in Philadelphia for over 20 years.
Wow. Well,
Philadelphia has always had a long history of a large amount of missing people.
Right. Well, I got a cup my best friend Steve, he bought me. It's I don't know if you can see it. No weapon forged against you shall prosper. Hold fast. So
I've seen it many times.
I stand on that a lot.
I do too. I will tell you right now, were it not for my faith in God, I would probably be dead right now.
Brian Tucker said something, and I have heard this a lot. 33rd degree Masons, he said, or drink blood.
Really?
I've heard that. I've heard that rumor more than once. I've heard that there's some pretty dark things that go on in there. I don't know. I've never been in there, but I have heard, that kind of stuff and talk.
Well, truthfully, I have too. I am not a member of the Masons. I do not, shall we say, associate with members of the Masons. My one cousin was a member of the Masons, but he was not high enough in yet to know anything, shall we say. When you start talking secret societies, unfortunately, they are called secret societies for a reason, because we don't know exactly what they do.
Right.
I've heard a lot of negative things about Masons. I've heard some good things about them too. I guess it's all up to the individual to determine what they want to believe. But with that being said, we're kind of getting a little off topic.
Yeah. I've even heard, and this is what interested me tonight in talking about this subject. That I dove pretty deep into the Girl Scout, murders.
Oh, yes.
And that I'm still digging deep into it.
Yep. And I am also.
Well, there's something came up that really interested me tonight, and it doesn't take us real far off course.
Okay.
The Googway, from what the chief says up there, is also a blood drinker, is what he had told me. Now, I know that I can't say the individual right now, but it'll come out later. There was
Yes, I know.
there was an adult man that a creature jumped into his car and sucked the blood from him, and that was a police report in the same area.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, he didn't have any blood left. And I was talking to another group here in Oklahoma, which they're a really cool group, Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. And I think, Kurt, that there is more things go on here in Oklahoma than what we're labeled as. Because
Oklahoma is very much a hot spot.
I think the reason a lot of ours is hidden so much is because the elders and the natives and stuff, they don't like to talk about it.
That is correct.
They don't go out and spread the news about it. To them, it is sacred, and to some tribes, even, they are known as the protectors of the land. So I
That is
mean,
correct.
so you're not going to hear a lot about it, But the Googway up in the J Oklahoma area, Pryor, Oklahoma, up in that area, I've been doing a lot of reading. There's been not only cows and cats and dogs and things like that. It's been found on the side of the road with the two punctures, in the throat. But also, Brazil right now. I done 2 videos on Brazil. They have a little town up there that is getting attacked by a creature, and say, some say it's a werewolf, some say, but the one weird thing is whatever this is has attacked cows, it's attacked dogs, cats, everything, even humans. It bites one time, it leaves 2 puncture holes directly in the jugular vein under the neck, and the animal is drained almost completely of the blood, which would lead you to believe that the teeth would be hypodermic like to be able to drain the blood.
No, they're not.
They're
What
not?
they do, the teeth are very pointy. They are solid, though.
Uh-huh.
They simply puncture the vein and then literally stand there and suck the blood out.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, because
one
I guess
vampire hunter that I've been in contact with actually has the cast of a jaw from the 16th century from a vampire that was killed. And you literally can see the fangs. The measurement from fang to fang, which I would call eye teeth, for lack of something better to call it, that would be the position they're in, as opposed to our jaw, is 34.5 millimeters. So just over 1.25 inches wide.
you know that one of the sad things in that happened over in Brazil is it gets hot over there, and a lot of them sleep with their doors and windows opened. 2 puncture holes in his throat, and she said he was as white,
Yep.
not a drop of blood.
Now I do have is that you bring up Brazil, because I do have a friend from Brazil, goes and visits all his relatives twice a year, 5 months ago, about the different cryptids. There is a dogman or the pyramid walking right of a small town. Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, there are creatures. He said, when something like this happens, the Brazilian government will just come in with the military. They'll hunt it down, they'll take it out. Said it never makes the papers or anything, just the disappearances and the attacks stop. So if that's the case, that means the Brazilian government is admitting, at least softly admitting, that these creatures exist. The next question is, why the hell won't our
government? I think liability.
Well, maybe.
If you admit that you have a creature killing people, then you're going to be liable for the damages it causes. But if you don't know there's a creature doing it, or you can't prove it, or it's not in the books because it's not on paper, it didn't happen,
right?
Then they're not liable for anything that happens in the national parks.
Sure. See, this was kind of a rhetorical question to get people to think. My take on it is it's all about the money.
Oh, yeah, follow the money.
Not only would the government at that point in time be liable, but just think of what the attendance at the national parks and state parks would be like. If you knew that if you went to a state park, there was a possibility that a creature was going to attack you and kill you, would you still go?
Right. And then how much money are they going to lose when people stop going?
Right. Right. I know I did see some figures last year. Yellowstone Park alone, if for some reason it were to be shut down, the government would lose $200 million a year.
Yeah, they can't let that happen.
Exactly. And that's just one park. Now, I will grant you it is a large park, but still, it always comes back to follow the money.
That's what we always said, even at work. You follow the money. The money's going to show you, where the problem's at.
Exactly. That is, quite frankly, that is one reason I am happy I have never taken a dime for doing what I do with these cryptids. I have nobody that I have to answer to. And when I'm on a show like this, and quite frankly, yours is the only one that I'm on anymore. I refuse to be on any of the others. But nobody can steer what I say. I tell the truth, and if people like it, that's wonderful. If they don't like it, that's okay too. That's their prerogative.
Right. Even in the Girl Scout murders in Oklahoma, there's a tent pole that really has just baffled all the investigators. And the in the OSBI report, there was a pole that was a support pole that was grabbed by something and was just snapped.
Right.
The OSBI even brought in a special team, and it was impossible that a human
they
would
could not duplicate it.
No, a human could not do it. And then they even put in the report, and this is in the report more than one time. Even the state authorities and the sheriff department also wrote it in there. We are dealing with a unhuman person.
Yep. Now, if you remember, I brought up about the autistic girl.
Yes.
There's going to be a little more come out about her that I will let you know before you release your final video on this.
Yeah.
As I say, I've never quit digging on that.
You know, I don't know why they didn't. I don't know. Maybe her mom just thought that maybe the little girl was homesick for her, you think, maybe?
No. These creatures, for some reason, have a connection to the autistic.
Is that, you think that's why
How? I don't know.
You think that's what makes the disabled targets for them?
Could be. But that little girl knew exactly what was going to happen that night.
Yeah, because she told her mom, didn't she? Didn't she say
right.
that she's going to die? She's not going to come home?
Exactly.
I tell you, I'm just going to say it. I'm probably going to piss off a lot of the investigators that was there and probably some of the staff, but I'm just going to say right now, now this is all opinionated because it's after the fact, so it's speculation and it's a theory. I guess it's my hypothesis if you want to get technical, but it's just an opinionated hypothesis. I believe more than one person was definitely involved with the information that I had before and the information that I have incurred since the investigation. And I also believe that there may or may not have been, make sure I say this right, spiritual influence in the murders.
There was, and I'll come right out and say it, there was also law enforcement involved in a cover-up on it.
Yeah. Yep. I would say that because, and one lady, I will never understand why she was never looked at any harder than what she was looked at, is Carla Wilhite. Now, just speculation, and again, we're talking just opinionated opinions. Nothing here. We have to say it's not factual because we don't want to incriminate anybody that is innocent till proven guilty. But
of course,
just talking around the campfire, just opinions. How can you be a woman that's 18 years old? You're at a camp, and if I don't know if y'all have seen this place, but this place is scary. I'm a grown man, and I would have trouble sleeping inside of there. And she's laying out there in a tent. She's already witnessed a light in the trees. She's already heard a guttural sound that she doesn't even know what it is, if it's human or not, which she says is not human. She stated that. She goes into her tent, lays down, and goes to sleep. And then in her statement to the OSBI, they say, what do you wish you could have done different? She says, well, I wish I could have woke up. My question would have been, how in the hell did you go to sleep?
Exactly. And how did you sleep through it?
Yeah, I mean,
I will tell you right now, that attack was not quiet.
And it makes me really mad. It angers me because you got young, defenseless little girls out there in a rainstorm in a scary woods, and you're going to lay down hearing these scary noises, and you're going to go to sleep, and then the next day you can tell everybody the whole story. You can say, when they unzip the bags, this is what victim such and such looked like. This is what, this little girl looked like, or this little girl. But you know what was funny? She never remembered seeing the bright red flashlight that's in every photograph that was laying right by the bodies.
Imagine that.
Carla Wilhite. And then, there was a rumor going around town that she was supposedly having an affair with Jean Leroy Hart, okay?
Possible.
So if she's having an affair with Jean Leroy Hart, the Magic Circle out of Tulsa, which owns the Girl Scouts at the time, they did not release the time that the girls would arrive at that facility due to security reasons. But Carla would have known the time they would have arrived. Carla would have had the guest list. She would have had the ages. Carla is the one that put the 3 little girls out there in the tent by themselves when there was a letter left already 3 weeks prior saying we're on a mission to kill 3 little girls.
Well, and like once more, I will bring up that autistic girl. How did she know?
I mean, you could...
There's more going on here than you or I can wrap our heads around. Was it spiritual in nature? Yes, but also physical.
Well, another thing, whenever I looked at the investigation, it just blew my mind. I mean, I'm a small town person. I mean, I worked in a small town. I was a small time investigator, small town. I've seen things that blew my mind that weren't, like, for instance, not only Carla, but other staff members that were in the adjoining building, they heard little girls yelling for their mama and never checked on them, never went and looked. But then Carla says, and this also caught me, they said, now this is weird. She says that she hurt her back, okay? And she was given Tylenol with codeine. Okay, Tylenol with codeine is a prescription drug.
Exactly.
Was the staff members partying and didn't hear it? Was there a big cultism going on? I mean, we don't know. But, they was doing everything but their job. They wasn't taking care of those little girls. And, I mean, there's negligence there, in my opinion. There's a lot of negligence. And
that's right.
But here's your one. And this, again, is just hypothetical. This is just me throwing out a theory again. I'm going to put it like this. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to put it in concrete. I'm going to put it to you like this. How did Carla hurt her back? What was she lifting or dragging? And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Yep. That's a good way to do it, Mike. Like I say, there is so much more when the veil is lifted. There is so much that is going to be exposed. So much that our government knows that they are not allowing us as citizens to know, because I'm going to assume, as I said, follow the money, but I'm also going to assume that they believe we could not handle it.
Well, here's another thing that bothers me from an investigator's view. She wakes up in the morning, right? Carla. She set her alarm clock. She wants to wake up before all the girls so she can go take the first shower. So you know as well as I do, when you're in the canopy of the woods It's early morning. It is still pretty dark inside the trees. It takes a while
Sure.
to be able to see.
Yep.
Carla steps out of the area she was staying, and we know from the murder report that the children were dragged 100 to 150 yards away from their tent. So let's say 200 yards max. And Carla notices right off at 200 yards through the grass, the trees, and everything, sleeping bags
Not gonna
laying
happen.
by a tree.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
That
As I said, that attack was not silent. There was a large amount of noise made. She knew what was going on, but it was to do nothing.
and another weird thing, they had Gene Leroy Hart was in jail, and he made the comment to the jailer. Okay, the jailer was freaked out by him. He actually went to the sheriff. Gene Leroy Hart made the comment. He said, I could shapeshift at any time, and I could leave this jail cell right now if I wanted to, right?
Right?
And you know what? He done it. He escaped a second time. And you know what? To this day, the sheriff still will not release any information on how he got out the second.
Well, that is a very, very one. The U.S., North Carolina to be exact. He was in your small town jail, standard 1-inch high carbon steel bars, 6 inches apart, bars wide enough to be able to walk between them and leave.
In the room right now, do this. You them to leave or at least mute your volume. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that happened in the trials. Gene Leroy Hart was so crazy that while he was in prison on a full moon night, he would hang from the bars, masturbate.
Yeah.
The prisoners and the guards all admitted to being physically, just afraid of him.
Sure.
And they said, and this is why I asked you earlier about the transformation, because the way they explained the way that he transformed wasn't like the movies where he, totally turned into like this werewolf. But they said that he had a change, like in his face, his demeanor.
Yep.
How somebody can look at you and they can be really mad and they just look crazy. They look off.
Yeah, sure.
That's like how they said he would change, and
and their face will sink in somewhat.
Yeah, they get really, really eerie looking. And the Girl Scouts, they said, and now here's the part that's going to blow everybody's mind. They during this murder, there was a creature involved. This is the chiefs up there. Is a Googway, is what they called it, and they're very particular on calling it the Googway. It was involved with, now this is the part, with humans that summoned it. And I asked them, I said, how does that work, right? I said, how does that work? Because, and I didn't ask them smart aleck. I respect them, and I'm open to anything. And this is the answer that I got. The Googway exists in the woods automatically. Okay, he's already there. So you get your shamans together. They go to a seance fireplace that they have wherever it's at. It's a sacred ground to them, and they do this ritual. They do what they call a smoke. They burn tobacco, and he said a demon goes and possesses the Gugwe, and then the demon controls the Gugwe for the people in the seance for one moon revelation, and then the demon is freed by whatever else.
Well, that's pretty close to what I was told by a shaman that actually had called one off once. The one that was left out, that demon in that Google is called up to right a perceived wrong, and by that they mean to kill somebody. Now, that demon knows nothing but to do that job. Should that individual who it is targeting die before the Gugwe is able to get to it and do its duty, then the Gugwe with the demon is left to walk on Earth the rest of the Gugwe's life, until it killed. Point in time, then the demon is released to go back to the depths of hell. The particular shaman that I'm referring to was a Cherokee shaman went by the name of Ring Elk, lived just outside of Gasaway, West Virginia, died 2 years ago at the age of 94.
I want to answer something real quick. Wendy, I just posted her up here. She said, I hope I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just throwing out ideas. If I am, I'm really sorry. Wendy, don't worry. We encourage spirited debate. I understand not everybody's, not everybody's going to agree with this. We actually encourage that here. We're not a channel that tells everybody to be quiet, listen. We're teaching. Like we always say, a good teacher is a good student. The only thing that we don't tolerate is personal attacks and being disrespectful toward a person. But no, we don't have to agree, and we have the right to disagree. It's just we need to do it respectfully. So, it's okay to disagree. I totally understand.
Correct.
And I hope we're not breaking up too bad and everybody can still hear us. I'm doing the best I can at reading. This thing is really flying. Whenever I talk to him, and I can't go into a whole lot because I haven't released, and I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy. But by talking to him, this thing, the Gugwe, and and I got in trouble by even whenever I mentioned, I made the comment. I said dog man, and oh my goodness, I thought I was going to be, not coming home. Because
exactly.
I mean, the way they, they were like, no, there is no dog man, and I'm like, what do you mean, no dog man? They're like, werewolf, dog man, Gugwe, Bigfoot. He said, all the same, and I said, what do you mean? And he's like, no, they're all the same. He said, so that was ricocheting around in my head, and then the other night I caught a show, and it had oh man, I went blank. It had that lady on there that done this thing.
Dr. Melba Ketchum.
Yes, she was on. I think you watched the show with me, and she said all of the DNA that came back showed that all these things are related. So
yes,
so the natives already knew it before we ever done the DNA testing.
Well, they are related, but they are not the same.
Right.
And let me qualify that. A dogman has female human DNA. A Sasquatch has female human DNA. Googly, we can only guess about. But with that being said, both those have an undetermined DNA also. So we know something mated with a human. And of course, this is open to speculation, or rather, open to however you guys want to take this, but there have been several DNA studies, one of them by Melba and another by an actual individual in the Soviet Union. When it was Soviet Union, it's now state, which is what? Well, they believe that this mating happened about 35,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that is the case, then that tells you that Dogman and Sasquatch have been around at least 35,000 years. Now, I know there's people out there trying to, and I've even had people throughout the Bible, the generations, and if you add them all up, it says basically that we're about 6,800 years old. Well, science says we're 5.4 billion years old. As far as it goes, science says humans are up to 2 million years old. Now, I'm going to blow your mind. Something that just literally should not be. If I say the name Lucy as the first modern woman, you know what I'm to?
To the modern human?
Yeah, the human. Lucy is the name they gave a that equaled a skeleton that was found in a ravine in Africa and determined to be, I forget, I believe about 200,000 years old. Well, anyways, there had been some DNA tests ran, and to make a long story short, some suspect Sasquatch DNA, a particular doctor who I'm not allowed to say anything yet, had been going back through trying to compare the DNA of this suspected Sasquatch to earlier humans like Neanderthal, Denisum, all our ancient supposed relatives. Well, never got a hit. Showed that Sasquatch had to be something different. The doctor was about 2/3 of the way through the DNA sequences of all humans. He gave up for a short time. And when I say short time, about 2 weeks. Frustrated, pissed off, whatever you want to call it. Well, finally, he decides to start again. That maybe he missed something. This time, instead of looking from modern human or going backwards, he would start with Lucy's DNA and work forward from there. Guess what? Lucy's DNA was an exact match. Yep.
Wow.
So, was Lucy the actual first human that was crossbred to be a Sasquatch? Or was this skeleton that they Lucy that they thought was the first human? Was it actually a damn Sasquatch skeleton that they had and they just, for lack of anything better, they just called it a human?
You know, the video I done, it's been a while back I done it. We all thought something weird was going on because back where I live, there's an old gravel road and it goes back, down to the swamp. And and not, there was nothing wrong with it. But all of a sudden, I'm going fishing. I go to this back bridge. It's a bridge to where it's been closed forever, and we would stand on that bridge and fish.
Right.
Well, I went to go down that road, and all of a sudden, there's a guard shack with a military guy and a rifle, and he says you can't go down there.
Imagine that.
So I left. I really didn't think nothing about it at the time. I thought maybe, that the Corps of Engineer was putting in a new bridge, doing some work, he was security, whatever.
Right.
A week later, where that little single bridge is, they put in $1 million 2-lane, 2-car bridge with huge horns, cut out ditches. I mean, long bridge that leads to a dead. Okay, so on the other side of the bridge, right?
Right.
And he said he looked down in that skeleton, okay, which a lot of people thought that it could have been a Native American a grave or
Burial
something.
ground.
But he said the thing that was off is they were so much bigger than us. Well, he got caught all over, and he said they had a bunch of rebar built down in there. And he said, I'm talking a massive hole, okay? 3 days later, I talked to my buddy, and he says cement truck after cement truck went by his house. They went down there and filled that huge hole halfway up with rebar and cement, and then they put huge rock on top of that, and then they put gravel all the way up on top of that, smoothed it out, and closed the bridge.
Yeah. It's like that vampire house. Approximately one from that house was an old abandoned air shaft for a coal mine. Now, the coal mine, that tunnel had been closed off years and years ago. Thing with air shaft, other the original coal mine went bankrupt and the property was bought out by another coal mine. But anyways, this shaft was 12 foot in diameter and went 800 foot straight down. Now, it had been open since the 60s. Just had a little chain link fence around it. Here about 3 years ago, all of a sudden, you had that area fenced off. You had security carrying AR-15/M4s and a side rig that looked to be a 9mm, much like what the military's, but yet their uniforms had one near them. They blend, hard up with dirt, and then they filled it with concrete the rest of the way, but it was at least 30 foot of concrete. And the last time I went over to it was a year ago. Even though it had been filled in, it is still fenced off and it still has those same heavily armed guards.
I had a thing real quick. Cynthia said about to me, said it was true. I don't know what she was talking about. And then MRL, he says bridge at least to where, hey, MRL, that bridge directly into the swampy lake. I mean, dead end. I mean, if you keep driving, you're going to run right off into the swamp, the lake, and you're talking 8 to 10 miles before you ever might see a house. And they put in over $1 million bridge to get there. Now, if you think about it, though, the bridge kind of makes sense. You work construction, so you'll understand it probably more than I did. You got to have a strong bridge to support the semis and equipment they took back there to be able to do the work they did. I believe that's why they put the big bridge in.
Right.
Because that little one-lane concrete bridge would have never supported that equipment. A lot of people on here probably don't know what a scraper looks like from a coal company, but they're massive.
Yeah. Now, back to the Girl Scout murders. As I said, you're working your end, I'm working my end. And before you do the final show on them, you and I, of course, will get together. We'll exchange notes, and hopefully when we're done putting stuff together, never truthfully be able to prove it because too many people that were involved are now dead. But it will give the viewers the best possible scenario of what happened. And would almost stake my life on what we say is 100% the truth of what actually happened.
I have something I will end up releasing that nobody has heard,
right,
or seen in 50 years since it happened.
And, you know, the funny part about it is all the information you had, but yet you didn't have about the autistic girl.
Right. Yeah.
So
I got the numbers of the parents recently.
Yeah.
And I am going to contact them before it's released.
And you might actually get a response that's going to shock you, because it'll end up being that you were not the only one trying to contact them.
Right.
Okay, so.
Yeah, you know, another thing, and I think this is weird, not far from that location, Camp Scott in Oklahoma, there was a boy riding his bike. He was found with his bicycle upside down, his bike in a tree, and it was tied by grapevines. We have a lot of grapevines down in here.
Right, sure.
The boy, 16 years old, was also tied upside down. Now listen to this. Over Camp Scott's entryway, 2 bite marks on his neck, no blood inside of his body, and a circle on his stomach with the 5-point star with his own blood.
Imagine that.
That's before.
Like I said,
that's before the girls arrived.
Never in my life believed in vampires. Always thought it was made up bullshit. Excuse my language, but Bram Stoker and that. And the more I start looking into this, the more I find out it is true. It solves a lot of the mysteries that we have up here that, people wanted to put into, well, Bigfoot did it. No, Bigfoot didn't do that. Well, a dogman did it. No, a dogman didn't do this. Well, okay, a human did it. No, sorry, a human didn't do it. Well, now that I've become more open to the thought these vampires are real and tracing back the different things we've found, that quite frankly, everything points to, gee, we've had vampires in this one corner of the state, and it's all that I know of. I cannot say any other place in the state, but in this one corner of the state, we have actually had to have had vampires since 1972. Now, that decapitated skull, and I really can't say the whole story on it yet, but as I said, it was taken off with a large knife. The person was beheaded. I did find that years prior to it being found, there was at least one vampire hunter working in West Virginia, 3 Corners. So I thought on that particular vampire hunter did kill a vampire here. That skull was a vampire. The thing is, right down to the firemen that were helping to secure the area the skull was found in, they were not even allowed to see the skull for some reason. Now, think about that one.
Right. Well, again, speculation. Corey Godsey, they said his family wasn't allowed to see him for 2 days.
Yeah, remember, I even took a trip to Kentucky over that one.
And you know what was weird about that, Kirk, and I really thought was another hole in their investigation, is they said, okay, the body of this little boy, I first had a guy come out, said he was there, search and rescue found him. This little boy was partially consumed, pieces of him missing. Then the sheriff comes out, says, oh, no. He looked fine. It wasn't as bad as they say. And then, I'm not going to say no names, but a channel out there that's really been slamming at me brought a guy on that said he had lived in that town. He was a deputy in that town. He worked fire department. He was on the search and rescue, and he done a big old show with this other guy trying to say that I didn't know what I was talking about. This other guy was lying.
I'm going to put this to rest right now. Remember, I sat and interviewed the man from the damn funeral home that picked the body up.
Right.
He saw the body before it went to the morgue. He saw the body after the morgue was finished with it, before the embalmer got a hold of it. And he said, without a doubt, 100% it was partially consumed.
And another thing that really threw that case off, it really pissed me off, was when this other channel done that, and he tried to make it look like I was lying. I contacted the sheriff of the town. I gave him
Remember, I got ran out by him, so.
Well, I gave the name of the guy that supposedly worked for him in the capacity of a deputy as
he never did.
Fireman. Nobody in that town knew this guy. And this guy says, I was raised there. Everybody knows me. Everybody's mad. Everybody's upset. Nobody even knew who this guy was. 2 weeks later, the same guy contacts me in an email and wants to know if he can come on my show and finally tell the truth how bad this little boy really was. And I turned him down and denied him because a liar. I'm not going to give him the airtime.
Yeah, the long and short of it is, if he lied once, what's to stop him from lying again?
And the guy that done it, he knew that he cut him, and he was a friend of mine, not threatening.
I'm surprised at all.
And you know,
I spent 4.5 days down there looking into this after I had spent probably 500 hours doing research, doing phone calls, sending emails, sending messages. But what I find oddest of all, number one, is the older sister getting that scholarship to Texas A&M out of nowhere. And number two, that the sister would never respond to not a text, not a message, not a phone call, not an email. She would never respond to me at all.
You know, the mother of Corey Godsey, she allegedly was so threatened by the authorities that she never even gave a press release.
Well, I know the uncle, when I spoke to him, told me to leave it alone. They said they solved it.
They always solve it. Again, guys, I apologize for, they said it's breaking up really bad tonight. We're showing great reception. For some reason, they've been blocking to feed. They said my guest isn't even authorized to be on YouTube. So I don't know what's going on. We're showing full bars, full signs. Everything's running smooth, but there's something off tonight. I'm not sure. It's frustrating because I feel like we could go so much deeper, but I think maybe we're just going to have to wait and do it another time. That way we're not wasting so much information.
Mike, I'm going out tomorrow. I'm going to buy a brand new laptop or tablet, something, and I'll go ahead and get a hold of you tomorrow, see if we can connect with that. You know, maybe it's the phone itself. I don't know. But with a new device, and I'll try a different IP address, maybe we can have some better success.
Surely, I don't think it could be any worse. I think they've hit us pretty hard tonight.
I would agree.
We done about
totally agree.
We done about everything we could do to get it out there, though, didn't we?
Yes, sir. And that's the important part. It needs to get out. There's a lot more information about the vampires that needs to get out. I'm still doing a lot more digging on it. At some point in time, I will be able to release.
And I think the next time, let's talk about the little girl, the little Girl Scout girl that had the vision. Let's talk about her.
Okay.
I think
you and I later this week need to have a private conversation.
Yeah, we will. I will. Just let me know, and we'll set it up, and we'll have a video chat.
Sounds good, Mike.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, and I don't know what caused it. Everything shows that we're running fine. Everything shows good. Unfortunately, something wasn't working right tonight. But I want to thank all the new members that have joined the membership. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Don't forget to hit the like as on your way out. That means a whole lot. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you guys for being there. We have the best people on YouTube. And until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel and don't be something's dinner.
Mike, I'll speak with you later.